We understand that National Security Police, though, will be responsible for vetting before the National Security Committee approves or not. So what would the vetting process, can you give any indication what that background checks, et cetera, et cetera?
Well, I can't because I honestly do not know, how this vetting will be done because I'm not in charge of that. But I would say you only need to look at how all countries on earth conduct national security, intelligence, and vetting. How different can it be? Because we're all just about making sure that threats are identified, that if they are identified, then you decide the measures that are necessary to address those risks. And it's the same the world over. So I think you might have the answer by just looking at your own system.
Is it a process, though, if you can at all elaborate on whether this needs to be ongoing monitoring, ongoing vetting?
I think it's the same answer that I gave you. Okay, which country will say, okay, I've done enough, okay, I'm going to rest for a bit, and then maybe restart this process later. National security, if there is, risks for national securities are real, and I would say they are perpetual, especially given this very hostile international environment that we find ourselves in, especially because there are countries on earth, okay, whose basic DNA is aggressive.
You're alluding to the United States.
Yes, I am talking about the United States, and I think it is also clearly stated, what their intent is, okay, to suppress the development of China, and it's open secret.
So Hong Kong has been the pawn, in your estimation, that
Right.
has led us down this road to where we are now, where we have the national security law, we have the electoral reform, we have perhaps more exertive policies from Beijing.
I think so, because this is in the geopolitical interest of America to do that. And on the ground, I certainly see compatible evidence of such action. I'm not trying to necessarily pass judgment or moral judgment on this, because how a country determines to further its strategic interest, okay, it's that country's prerogative. But I'm just saying that we are as entitled as these countries to protect our own interests.
So what does that mean for the security blanket over Hong Kong? More surveillance, more police on the streets, more review of social media? I'm not saying it's a police state. We're nowhere near there. But that's the international perception.
That perception is wrong, okay? Because let me tell you this, okay? As a police officer, our concern has always been livelihood issues, okay? Whether you're safe, whether you feel safe going out at night, whether you feel safe to allow your teenage daughter, to go home by herself. These are livelihood issues, okay? These are not political issues. We're entitled to security. We're entitled to stability, because that's the only way a society can function. And I think the events of 2019 have shown you when stability and security breaks down, society becomes dysfunctional, totally dysfunctional. We were on the brink of collapse in many senses of the word. We try to do our best, and if it happens again, we will do that again.
Tell
but
me
what's happening? What's happening now is the government, including the central government, okay, taking steps to make sure that the systems are corrected, so that the ultimate aim of stability, security, and prosperity can actually be achieved. All countries on earth are constantly and perpetually obsessed with these three objectives. Any political system or any governance systems ultimately are there to produce these three results. We're only the people, or some of the people, whose job it is to ensure that this can be a reality.